Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo Story. Today we're joined by Iltija Mufti, daughter of former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and media advisor to Mehbooba Mufti. Welcome to show, Iltija. Iltija, first of all, we've been seeing photographs that you posted on the Twitter since morning that there are locks on your gate and the door. It has been denied by the administration that anybody has been detained. What is the situation?
I mean, look, they can deny all they want, Zafar. We are not crazy, nor am I, hallucinating that they're locked every door of the gate. It's in which you can see that there are policemen patrolling the ministry local what he
we can't hear you. There's some problem with the audio. Actually, we can't hear you. There's some problem with the audio, but you were saying that actually there are locks at the gate and the gates are closed. But coming to today's verdict, Article 370 verdict, what was done on August 5, 2019, that's been held by the Apex Court. What is your reaction?
You know what I already reacted this.
I'm sorry, Iltija, we cannot hear you. There's some problem with the audio. Can you reconnect?
I can do that. But Zafar Saab, I think now we should.
Yeah. But now I can hear you. Yeah, please go on.
I was saying that for me, personally speaking, I had no hopes pinned on this judgment. In fact, most of us preempted what they were going to say. And if you notice the judgment, none of it is legally binding. It's not a legal directive. None of it. They say that Article 370 was a temporary provision that suits the BJP. Then they talk about elections. Elections is no solution. Usme bhi binding nahi hai. They talk about statehood. They talk about restoring democracy. There's no framework. It's a very vague framework. They're saying, well, this needs to be done and you need to do this, but they're not even able to gather the courage to tell, the ruling government what needs to be done. So it's very sad when you see an institution like the Honorable Supreme Court extremely divisive, a communal agenda, the majoritarian sentiment. They haven't upheld the Indian Constitution. All they're following is, it's a populist ruling, I would say. It makes no sense.
Right. But now that this verdict has come and it's come from the Apex Court, is there a scope of further appeal or something can be done to put your case forward, or this is the end, you have to accept it and move forward now?
Of course not. I think as far as this judgment is concerned, my opinion is that all parties who move people, we should petition, because what has happened was brazenly illegal. It was unconstitutional. And just because the Supreme Court has given this ruling does not mean that we should. And having said that, I don't think this is a legal issue. Article 370, restoring our special status, resolving the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. It's a political issue. It's not a legal or a religious issue. So at the end of the day, it has to have a political solution. We can't keep looking up to the Supreme Court. That's a very convenient thing to say, even to our people, that we leave the ball in their court. But to be honest, is that going to get us anywhere? No, I don't think so. Not in this environment, not in the current India that we're living in. And I have to say that the Supreme Court of India has let the idea of India down. More than the people of Jammu and Kashmir, it has betrayed the idea of India, and India, which prides itself in diversity. It's federalism. They've undermined the entire structure.
And we also heard from Mehbooba Mufti, the video statement that she released. She also spoke about the idea of India, and she appealed the people not to get disheartened. But up till now, everybody was saying that let's wait for the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is to decide about it. But now those legal options are closed. It's only the political options that are available. Although the Supreme Court has clearly told the center to conduct election, they've given a timeline before September 2024. Do you think that is the first step?
Zafar Sir, I think the first step is to agree that we have a problem. The core issue here that the ruling government they don't think that there's a Kashmir until they have, you know, until they don't accept as a problem, there can be no for them. There's no Kashmir. If everything is normal, why are ministers detained even today? So we need to ask these questions first. Will they acknowledge that there's a problem? Because you can arrive at a solution only when you acknowledge that there's a problem in the first place. But if you have blinders on, you have wool pulled over your eyes, then there is no problem, right? But having said that, um, I don't think they actively want to seek a solution for the problem of Jammu and Kashmir. They just want to keep using our pain, as a milch cow, and to keep getting mileage out of it for every national, for the next general election, and also for every state election that's conducted. That's why they keep bringing this up कि हमने 370 को abrogate किया. इनके लिए तो ये बहुत बड़ी achievement है. Do they want to heal the pain that they keep inflicting on the people of Jammu and Kashmir? I don't think so.
Turn around and say that situation has improved. See, let's talk about today. Internet has not been closed. The offices are open. Things are moving normally compared to what was happening in the past. They say that graph of militancy has come down. There's no stone pelting happening. So apparently things seem to be moving on the track towards normalization.
At the cost of what? Democracy has been suspended. We don't have individual fundamental rights. The fact that I'm here talking on your platform, Zafar Saab, it's not my fundamental right. Today, it's become a privilege. Can other Kashmiris like me come forward and can they join you on this discussion, on this debate, deliberate about their own future, about what was snatched from them? Of course not. There is fear. There's a fear that's been instilled in every resident of Jammu and Kashmir since 2019. And that's why you have this uneasy silence of a graveyard. Has stone pelting stopped? Yes, to a certain extent it stopped. But you also see a rise, in the insurgency. You see well-educated young boys leaving their families to join militancy. You have fake encounters. Why is all this happening? It's because of the brewing resentment. You don't want to know, you don't want to take stock of the situation, and you keep tom-tomming about this normalcy. अगर इतनी normalcy है, आपको एक former chief minister से क्या threat है अगर वो आज press को brief करती? Mehbooba ji wanted to brief the press today in the PDP office. So you can see the deep-seated paranoia. Despite such a massive clampdown, they're still so paranoid. So what normalcy do they talk about? And to protect this abnormal normalcy, look at the lengths that they're going to.
How is this, over the political? We know that a Gupkar alliance was formed. There is some sort of a arrangement on the ground between the regional parties in Jammu and Kashmir. Do you think that now, after as the elections will happen, that you'll fight the election jointly and perhaps carry forward this political fight jointly? That's been what was said in the beginning when 370 was abrogated. You were very vocal at that point in time.
I want to make one thing very clear. My holding what we're going through, the collective punishment that we've been undergoing, and the larger issue of Jammu and Kashmir for so many decades now, no election is going to solve it. And no matter which political party even comes into power, whether it's NC, PDP, whoever, what are you going to do even if you get 50 seats? Because you see, essentially, we've been demoted to the status of a UT. A chief minister is going to be as good as a mayor. अगर आपको कुर्सी एंजॉय करनी है तो उसके लिए इलेक्शन कल रख दीजिए, आप कुर्सी एंजॉय कर सकते हैं. But we don't have real powers anymore. Because let's not just forget, not just our special status was snatched from us, we've been demoted. For the first time in the history of post-independent India, a state was demoted to a UT. That means that your chief minister will essentially be a mayor. So an election is not going to solve anything. आपको इक़्तिदार का शौक है, हाँ, आपको वो शायद मिल जाएगा. लोगों के आप मसाइल जो अभी यहाँ issues हैं, क्या आप वो solve कर पाएंगे? I don't think so. Because the remote control lies with Delhi. It's been with them for the past 4 years. Until we don't get that sense of control back, the people, not the political class, we're going to be in the same position.
The verdict talks about elections before September 2024, but it does not come up with a timeline as far as statehood is concerned. Do you think that is something that was essential? Because, as you say, the state was demoted, it was split into two union territories, even though that was a different thing. If we talk about 370 abrogation, those two were different, but they were done simultaneously.
Pain to say this, but it come from the BJP office, because if you look at every aspect of the verdict, it plays into their agenda. They obviously don't want the people of Jammu and Kashmir to get their statehood back. तो statehood पे भी बिल्कुल ambiguous सा framework है. आप direct नहीं कर रहे हैं government को, आप कुछ नहीं बोल रहे हैं कि इस date तक, जैसे आपने election की एक timeline दे दी, statehood की भी आप दे सकते थे, because what they did, both parts of it, I feel like the court has upheld it. And I honestly, I don't see the people of Jammu and Kashmir, I don't see us getting our statehood back for a while. Because for them, the problem is that our own government and elected government, elected by the people of Jammu and Kashmir, if it has full powers, they feel that the situation will get out of control. And they want to control everything here. They want to micromanage things. So they don't want to cede that sense of control they've been enjoying since 2019. You see, there's a separate ecosystem here. That ecosystem comprises of intelligence agencies that behave like the Gestapo. You have an authoritarian bureaucratic babudom that don't listen to people, that don't have any kind of political accountability. So they want to maintain the status quo. And what better way to maintain the status quo than to make sure that we don't get statehood back? So it's all part of a larger plan.
When the verdict was being pronounced, they went into the background also. We're always told that Article 370 is a temporary provision, that's they said, and the president has the power to get it repealed. What was done was legal. All the procedures were followed. But up till now, we're told that it's the Constituent Assembly, and only the Constituent Assembly has the power to repeal Article 370.
It's patent nonsense. Only the Constituent Assembly of Jammu Kashmir had the right to do this. You cannot take the right of the Constituent Assembly and give it to the governor, and that's exactly what happened. The order was signed by Satyapal Malik Saab when he was the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. Can you please explain to me, how does the governor represent the aspirations of a state? And just because the Supreme Court is saying that this was right does not mean that this was right. Please look at their judgment about the Ram Mandir as well. It's so vague. It's completely exonerating the people, the culprits who actually demolished the mosque. So I'm sorry, I don't see जो भी Supreme Court कह रहा है वो पत्थर की लकीर है. These are all legal arguments, and their legal argument, even the ruling that they've given today, it's legally not sound. It's not a sound judgment, and we all know this. But at the same time, you know that they're pandering to the BJP majoritarian sentiment कि पूरे मुल्क को आपको खुश करना है. You want to satisfy their collective conscience. जैसे आपने अफजल गुरु को फांसी दी, आज वैसे ही आपने abrogation upheld किया, क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि it's a populist ruling. तो हमारे पे you have slaughtered our wishes. You've gone against our own aspirations, against what was given to us by the Indian Constitution. But that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't make what you're saying right. So I don't believe in any part of the judgment, in the sense that I don't agree with any aspect of it. And I don't think if any Kashmiri will. I'm not the only one.
But there are celebrations in happening in Jammu. We saw at certain a few number of people at quarters coming out on the roads and celebrating. And there was also that West Pakistani refugees didn't get their rights. The Valmikis were not given their rights. Women who married outside of Jammu and Kashmir were not given their rights, and all that has ended. Now there is parity, and those are the arguments that come from the other side. How are you going to counter that?
I will counter it if I'm given the freedom. I will counter it if my fundamental right is not snatched from me. I've been locked up in the house since yesterday. So how do you counter an argument when you have a government that has so much power? They have a brute majority, they have agencies, they have institutions, and with no offense to you, a largely embedded media that follows their propaganda, that perpetuates this propaganda. There are normalcy acrobatics, and then you have these celebration acrobatics where you show a handful of people distributing laddus. And yes, the rest of the country, I believe they're genuinely celebrating our pain. And nothing can, symbolize the disconnect between the people of Jammu and Kashmir vis-a-vis the rest of India more than this, more than what you're seeing today. कि बाकी मुल्क में एक जश्न बन रहा है और आप हमारी हालत देखिए. For us, this is a black day. So this is a cause of concern that the people of Jammu and Kashmir, there is a huge, gap between them and the rest of the country. But does anybody care? Is anybody even noticing that? No. आपको प्रोपेगेंडा करना है, कुछ आपने लोग जम्मू में दिखा दिए, कुछ कश्मीर में दिखा दिए, घंटा घर पे वो फ्लैग चढ़ा रहे होंगे, मुझे पता भी है, वहां प्राइम मिनिस्टर की सेल्फी है, वहां वो सेल्फी भी ले रहे होंगे. But that's all propaganda. When it comes to propaganda, I think our government can rival Kim Jong in North Korea. How they do propaganda, you can give them a very good competition. But propaganda does not mean that it's the truth.
And Mehbooba Mufti in her video statement said that perhaps these can be replicated in other parts of the country also. What exactly does she mean?
I guess what she means is that the precedent that the Supreme Court has set is a very wrong one. You're essentially giving the government of India the freedom to, to dismember a state, and not just dismember it, but to demote it. You're challenging the federal model of this country. The relationship of the Union of India with the rest of the states today has been completely undermined, because the same government today can, dismember Maharashtra. It can cleave the state into parts, and not just that, it can break it up into a UT. So the SC has also set a very wrong precedent. You have sparked, you've given a spark. इससे आग लग सकती है पूरे मुल्क में, because tomorrow the government of India can decide to turn Maharashtra into UT. वहां इनकी सरकार नहीं बनती है, 2 दिन में उसको भी UT बना देंगे. So that is a very wrong example. They've set a very wrong precedent, which challenges not just the idea of India, but the basic structure which it has been built upon. Its federal model, the federal structure.
Right. Iltija Mufti, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your thoughts. Thanks so much for coming on to our show. That was Iltija Mufti speaking to Mojo Story. We'll keep a close track on this story, but for now, thanks so much for joining.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.